Hello guys, and welcome to today's mini lesson, a visit to the library. This will be the first of a series of posts and videos dedicated to mini lessons about reading, writing, in bilingual education. The main goal is to provide inspiration for your own creative process as a homeschooling parent, teacher, and tutor. Let's get started. The objective of this mini lesson is to get children excited about the library and the experience of reading at the library and also taking books out of the library to read at home. So we want to set up an activity before reading. So this is going to be a pre-reading activity to engage them and to get them thinking about the library. But we also want to include, of course, some reading skills. So what we have for this one, we have set up 2 reading skills that we're going to be working on through our conversations with the children. And those are activate and use background knowledge, and also generate and ask questions. And you are going to see as we continue how those reading skills are going to be part of our interactions with the children during this lesson and during this activity. So the main theme for this mini lesson is going to be the library, and that theme is going to inspire everything that is going to happen during our time together. So that is going to be our theme, and the activity again is going to be prepare for a visit to our local library. It might be the school library, it might be your home library, and we are going to be creating our own library cards. Here at the Bilingual Reading blog, we promote, of course, books and reading as the foundation for our interactions, our activities, our lessons. So I'm recommending for this activity, for this lesson, Lola at the library. So that is going to be the book that is going to spark the conversations that we're going to have. If you want to go bilingual, I'm also recommending one of my own bilingual books, Simona's New Treasure. Now, in terms of materials, what are we going to use? It's very, very simple materials: paper, pen, pencils, maybe a Sharpie if you have it, and if you have a ruler, if you have scissors, template, maybe a piece of paper. And that is why we're going to be using the ruler and the scissors, because we want to be creating a template. If you have an index cards, if you have them, you can use them maybe as a template, but also instead of using the paper, you can just go ahead and use the card. And we are going to be adding some things to the card to personalize it and to make it into our library card. Now, we also need stickers. If you have stickers, smiley faces or stars or any kind of sticker that your child or your children like or have. If not, you can even use color pencils or anything that has like a highlighter or something to make some symbols or illustrations. And I'm going to show you an example later of what I'm trying to describe. But if you have them, just go ahead and bring them out. What is going to be our strategy? And the strategy is the steps. So these are the steps that we are going to follow to complete the mini lesson and the activity and achieve our objective. So these are the parts that this mini lesson is going to be broken down into. All right, so when I'm planning any lesson or activity, I like to use the format before, during, and after. So that is going to be what we're going to be using for this and all other mini lessons. Before, all right, before we are going to gather to read the book that we chose for the activity. So in this case is Lola at the library. And here we are going to ask discovery questions to get an idea of previous knowledge, interests, and feedback about the subject. Or we are going to prompt children to share their experiences when visiting the library or taking books from the library. This is going to be the moment when we are going to start inserting our reading skills. I like to use a KWL chart to guide this process. Let me just show you one example right here. I love this resource, this tool, because it's a wonderful way for us to move along the way from what we already know, what we are wondering about, our questions, and then eventually we close the loop when we finish with the lesson in the activity and we visit the library, we come home with our books, and now what we learn. So we're going to read the story and we're going to ask follow-up questions to assess comprehension. We are going to ask the children for their first impressions of the story. We might want to read the story again, and if we are using a bilingual book, you might want to read now the story in the other language, or maybe insert a few keywords in that language as you read. And this is also when we are touching on that second reading skill about generating and asking questions. Even if we are the ones asking questions, we are modeling. That's what we're doing. We are modeling the process of activating and using background knowledge. We are modeling the process of generating and asking questions, and we're giving them or offering them the tools to be able to do it for themselves. Now that we already established that, now that we're fully immersed in our theme and we all know what we're doing, what is the focus of our time together, now we come to the active part. We come to the planning part. We're going to plan a visit to the local library, and we're going to talk about how we can prepare for our visit. And we are going to jot down any ideas from the children, or we might ask one of them to be or serve as the scribe for the group. We are going to pull out and distribute all the materials and introduce the activity, our library card. And I'm going to show you some ideas you might want to use for inspiration to create your own. And they also come from Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a site, a platform I've used before. I've used many of their free resources, many of their paid resources, and I think they're great. And it's a great way for us to support other teachers and creatives. So I'm going to show you two examples, two library card templates I found that fit this mini lesson perfectly, and both are free to download. Option number one is this very simple one with just a column for the book title, a column for the date out, a column for the date in, and that template, I believe, will be perfect if we have one of these index cards. So, or if you have the ability to download them, you can do so as well. Another example, the option number two that I want to show you is this one, in which, as you can see, it's more colorful. And what I like about this one is that maybe you can combine both. because here we have a rating. At the front, we can have the book titles, the dates in and out, and then at the back of the card, we can include space for rating our favorite books. And maybe we can use stars, maybe we can use happy faces or check marks, or I don't know, something colorful that could go well and make our library card more creative in that way. So those are two examples of two different types of library cards. Here in this example, of course, you have one card per book, and the other one you will have a couple rows to add those titles, which I think it's nice. But it all depends on your preference and the preferences of your children. Those were the templates that I wanted to show you. Now we continue. Once we've created our library cards, we can brainstorm with the children a way to organize them, maybe inside a shoebox or another type of recycled box or container, a manila envelope, or maybe a clear Ziploc bag. And these storage or organization ideas could become a follow-up crafting project. Again, when we are brainstorming this organization project, what we're doing is we're going back to our initial reading skills, because we're generating questions, we're asking questions about how to organize, but we're also activating and using our background knowledge even more as we practice how to organize in something that's physical. Eventually, that is going to translate into a reading skill. Because when we read, we reflect about what we're reading, we also need to organize our ideas, and eventually that is going to translate also into writing. So after we've created our library cards and we are already thinking about a way to store them, we are going to read our book again, our selected book, or maybe a favorite book from our collection. And we're going to practice filling in our brand new library cards. And the final step will be to set a date for our library visit and put it in our calendar, right? So that will be another wonderful way to get everybody excited about a future experience and how we are going to put our library cards to use. A follow-up activity could be, as part of our family reading ritual, we could pull out our library cards that we've been collecting for the last week, month, and we can review them, we can reflect on what we've read, and we can share our favorites and our recommendations with other members of the family. And that will be another wonderful way to sort of step back and think about what we have learned. And again, we can go back to our KWL chart and fill in that last learned column with everything that we have learned after our activity and our lesson has been completed. If you want to know more about this idea of a family reading ritual, I'm adding the link to that post and video below. And I'm also adding the links to all the templates that I mentioned and the books that I recommended. So now this mini lesson is over. I hope you enjoyed it and got some inspiration for your own creative process. Until next time, hasta la próxima.